To those that have everything, more will be given, and to those who have nothing, everything will be taken. Well, that's not very nice now, is it? How could God make such a world where this is the truth, where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? But I say to you, my friend, the price of ignorance is slavery and death. But good thing that you're watching this video. Don't worry, I'll protect you. We will cut down ignorance. It's actually very simple why these things happen. And soon you will find freedom from poverty, not only in the realm of finances, but in every aspect of your life, in relationships, in love and peace and happiness, and whatever else there is that people enjoy. Now, if you have ever watched a true crime documentary, you may have asked yourself, how do these people end up like this? How could somebody do such things? Or perhaps you may look at an enlightened saint. How do these ones become this way? Or what about a billionaire? Or what about a homeless crack addict? What is the difference between all of these individuals? What is it that makes us the way we are? What is it that causes us to experience the reality we are currently experiencing? You see, the one thing that differentiates between all of these different individuals, the saint and the serial killer and the billionaire and the homeless person, just one thing, and that is their identity of who they believe they are. Because depending on your identity, that will determine what you choose to focus on. It will determine the things that grab your attention, and where your attention goes, that is where energy flows. And energy is the force of creation. It is the force of life. So the entire quality of our life is determined by the quality of the things that we focus our attention on. A poor person thinks poor person thoughts, feels poor and acts poor, and therefore they get poor results. And a billionaire thinks like a billionaire, feels rich, and acts rich. And the reason the rich get richer is because those who are born in that environment don't know poverty. They only know abundance. So from the very beginning, their identity is shaped to expect abundance. And somebody who is born in poverty expects poverty. Think about it this way. The terrible evil person is the way they are because they have a series of negative thoughts that emerge from the shadow of their unconscious. And over time, as you experience more and more negative thoughts, if you place your identity with those negative thoughts, in the beginning you might say, oh, am I evil? Then over time you get conditioned into believing, oh yes, I must be evil. And the more they think evil thoughts, the more they identify with being evil. And so evil manifests in their experience. For the saint, all that they're interested in is God. So God preoccupies their mind all the time. And the more they focus on God, the more they become one with God. And so they become the embodiment of God in form, like a Jesus Christ or a great saint. If you were to take a billionaire and a homeless person and start them off at the same point with nothing, all the money would eventually return to the billionaire, and the homeless person would just stay as a homeless person. Because their outer environment is a reflection of what is within. There is no separation between the information in our mind and the information that we experience in the world. If you were to take a homeless person and put them in a big mansion, they would sabotage the experience. Why is this? It's because they only know poverty. Poverty is their natural environment. So anything that comes into conflict with poverty becomes uncomfortable because it is unfamiliar. And so you see why most people sabotage their success. If somebody feels like a loser Anytime they try to become better, to improve their lives, the body will always cause us to come back to the familiar, to the comfortable. And if your familiar is poverty and scarcity, it can be difficult to escape that. And that is why all of the people who win the lottery end up at the same place, if not worse off than before, because their outer environment changed, but their inner environment stayed the same. That is why people who say, oh, well, if only I had enough money, if only I had this or that, then I would be happy, then life would be fantastic. But it does not matter, because everything that you gain that is not a result of inner change, it will fall away and leave you as quickly as it came. Not because you don't deserve it, or not because you haven't earned it. It's because you are not the person who can sustain that lifestyle. If you took a billionaire and made them homeless, they could not sustain being a homeless person. Money would come to them in different ways because that is the way their mind operates. They have a greater sense of self. They know they are meant for more. And so they have an inner drive to find ways to succeed. You see, the reason I said the price of ignorance is slavery and death is because if you do not know your power, you have no power. And you will live your life as a slave to somebody who does know their power. And this power is the power of creation within you, that you are the creator of your reality, whether you're aware of it or not. That is why they say most people are sleepwalking through life. They are not awake. They do not understand their power. And so they fall victim to a system that uses and abuses them, steals their life force, steals their life away. Many people are experiencing this right now. As harsh as that may sound, we carry within us the most valuable resource in all of the universe, greater than all the gold and the diamonds and the jewels, even the oil, and any other resource. And the people in power look at the masses and they say, look at it, look at these cows. They spend their lives eating, reproducing, surviving. They live like animals, and yet they have the infinite power of God within them, the infinite power of creation to do anything they can imagine, to live any life, to live any experience. There are no limitations. And yet for many people it would have been more appropriate if they had been born as an animal, because that is the way they choose to spend their life. And so slavery and death is their punishment. You see, life is being filtered through us, through our minds. So whatever information we have in our mind, the memory, that is being projected out onto the world, and that is what we experience. We have to come to understand that our outer environment is a reflection of the past. Our past thoughts, our past feelings, our past actions. And the way we feel and the way we think and the way we act all stems from one source, and that is the identity of who we believe we are. The identity that has been conditioned for us. Oftentimes, people do not consciously construct the identity of the person who they want to be. Life just happens to them, and they kind of just react to it. They are not consciously living. There are some practical ways in which we can change the reality we are experiencing, so we can be a part of those who have everything, and not be a part of those who have nothing. So far, we've laid a bit of a foundation. We understand that energy is the power of creation, and energy is being filtered through us from the source out into the world. And the information that it is filtered through from the source to the outer world, that is the life that we are experiencing. And the first filter, you could say, is identity. And the identity chooses which thoughts you think, which thoughts you entertain, Where your mind is focused, the things that interest you, it influences the way you feel, and all of these things interconnect, and they influence the way that you act. We only have control over two aspects of ourselves. That is, our conscious thoughts and our actions. We change our feelings as a byproduct of changing our thoughts and our actions. We change our identity as a byproduct of changing our thoughts, feelings, and actions. You see, the big one that gives us the most trouble is our unconscious identity. The unconscious identity is formed from the unconscious mind, and the unconscious mind is the intelligence of our body. And we have to understand that our body's number one priority is survival. It functions from the instincts. And that is why if from your conscious mind you say, I want to be this kind of person, I want to improve my life, I want to have more money, more abundance, as you travel outward from the familiar into the unknown, your unconscious mind will grab you and take you back. Because it says, you're not leaving. We're comfortable here. If you try to go, if you go out there in the big scary world, you might die. And we can't be having that. Because I have one job to do, and that is to keep you alive. But the unconscious mind is blind. So it could be trying to keep you alive and be killing you at the same time. Because it prevents you from expansion. The body, the unconscious mind is conservative. One analogy is like the elephant and the elephant rider. The elephant rider on top of the elephant is like the conscious mind, while the elephant is like the unconscious. Who is really in charge? Well, they're both in charge. The conscious mind is able to maneuver and move the elephant, but the elephant at the end of the day can do whatever it wants. But the elephant will submit if the conscious mind can direct it properly, if you learn how to ride the elephant. And to ride the elephant, you must understand the elephant. We've talked about instincts and survival, but the style of communication of the unconscious of the elephant is feelings. And so the key to changing the unconscious is to become familiar with the version of yourself that you want to be. You want to reprogram your unconscious identity to look for abundance and prosperity everywhere you go, which means becoming aware of the words that you speak and the thoughts that you think. You can't allow thoughts of lack and scarcity continue to run while you're trying to be somebody who lives in abundance. You have to tell yourself a different story. And see, the problem is that most people are stuck in their 3D reality. They believe the reality that they are experiencing is the true and fundamental reality. That when they get bills in the mail or when they don't have enough money, that this is the truth. But it's not the truth. It's only true for you. Because your mind has been conditioned into scarcity. But if you begin changing your attitude, become grateful for all of the things that you already have. And so because you are focusing on the abundance that is already present in your life, you will create more of that. Because that is where your energy is flowing. And if you are focusing on thoughts of scarcity and lack and worry and fear, well then you will create more scarcity and lack. It all comes down to one simple thing, and that is the quality of the things that you focus your attention on. And the quality of the things that you focus on that directs the flow of energy, the force of creation, is determined by your identity. So in order to change your reality, you have to change the things that you focus on. And to change the things that you focus on, you have to begin changing your identity. And you change your identity through your conscious mind by thinking different thoughts and choosing to engage in different actions. And when you begin to feel differently about your reality, about money and finances, then your reality will begin reflecting back to you this inner change. But remember that reality is a reflection of the past. So it takes time in physical reality for changes to be reflected back to you. And if you get caught in focusing on the scarcity in your reality, well, then you remain in that world. Because humans are very forgetful, it is important that you are constantly reminding yourself of all the good things in your life, in all the ways that you are already abundant, on all the ways in which you are lovable, all of your best traits, all of the things that are already good in your life. And you can get into an upward spiral, where you get into the habit of focusing only on that which is good in any situation. Because those who live in poverty and scarcity and in misery only do so because they have been conditioned to do so. It is a habit, and a habit over time becomes an identity. Now, the secret to all of this comes down to something called brainwave frequencies. Now, in the waking state, there is a strong separation between the unconscious mind and the conscious mind. It becomes much more difficult to absorb information. It becomes much more difficult to reprogram our subconscious mind. But when you slow the brainwave frequencies down, the separation between the conscious and the unconscious mind begins to merge, and a gateway opens. And through this gateway, you can directly reprogram your unconscious mind. Now, the unconscious mind opens the slower our brainwave frequencies vibrate. And our brainwave frequencies slow down as we enter into sleep or deep meditation. And so there are fundamentally two parts of this process. You get into the habit 10 minutes before you wake up in the morning and 10 minutes before you go to sleep. And you use the time when your brainwave frequencies slow down and the gateway opens. And you can visualize or repeat things that reaffirm the person you want to be. And you go to bed and you wake up feeling good, not reflecting on all the things that went wrong or all the worries or all the fears. And day by day you begin reprogramming your unconscious identity. And during the day, as you go out and experience things, you gently guide yourself back to feeling good and focusing on what you want rather than what you don't want. You don't have control over your unconscious thoughts, the thoughts that occur spontaneously, but you do have control over your conscious thoughts and the way that you react to your experiences and to your unconscious thoughts. And so you can find yourself going toward a negative loop and stop it and course correct. And as you become better and better at this, you start feeling better and better all the time. And as you start feeling better, you start aligning yourself with the person you want to be. The person who has everything you desire. The person who feels abundant, who feels free, who feels peaceful and love and joy. And your reality has no choice but to reflect back to you this inner change. I recommend finding or creating your own hypnosis recording in which you can fall asleep to, designed specifically to suggest to your unconscious mind the individual you want to become, the life that you want to live. Consciously remind yourself of all the things that you want to experience and who you want to become. And know that it is done. Believe that it is so. As Jesus said, ask and it will be given. Knock and the door will be opened. Pray as though your prayers have already been answered. This is knowing your true power, the power of creation within you. And you do not need any fear, worry, or concern that what you want will not manifest in your life, because by understanding your true power, everything you desire is already yours. That you can create any life that you desire, regardless of the external circumstances. All that is required is that you begin changing the quality of the things that you focus your attention on, giving your energy to things that serve you and taking your energy away from things that don't.